Here we go, here we go, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. This is considered downtown Santa Barbara.
It absolutely is.
It's I Love You Say It Back. It's a podcast. I'm your host, Vic D. Crank that thing on up. Let's go.
I can tell. Moving it.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Once again, I Love You Say It Back. It's the podcast. Not only are we doing our first outdoor podcast, this is our first out-of-town podcast. Folks, today, I cannot be more excited to tell you where we are. I got a great story behind how I discovered this brewery, M Special Brewery, Santa Barbara, California, right here in the heart of downtown. And I'm sitting with the owner, Josh. Thank you so much for having us. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you, Vic?
A little closer up here.
I'm doing great. How are you, Vic?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm doing excellent. I'm excited to be here. I'm so glad that you guys responded on Instagram. I don't know if that was you or if that was Sam, but whoever
that was
it was.
Sam, yeah.
Yeah, whoever that was. Yeah. A little closer up here. That one's this one's that one's not as sensitive as this one, so you got to hold that one up a little closer to you.
I got a little weird.
There we go.
Here. All right, I got this.
All right, so thank you so much for having us out here. It's a beautiful. I know Santa Barbarians. What do you guys call them? What do you?
Santa Barbarans, I guess.
Santa Barbarans. Don't consider this beautiful weather because you guys are used to just incredible, like sunny 70 degrees and all that stuff. But to me, coming from Bakersfield, we're already getting warm out there. It's nice to have to put on a jacket. I will say that.
Yeah, I'm happy for that for you. Because I'm freezing.
That's what everybody's saying.
I'm freezing today. Yeah.
There was a fella out here carrying some kegs, and he's like, "Oh, it's chilly out here." I was like, "Man, this is absolutely beautiful." So glad to be out here. Glad to have some of the conversations that we're going to be having today. I want to know more about your beer. I want to tell you the story of how I even discovered your beer. So we'll start there if you don't mind.
Love that.
A few years ago, and I'm sure everybody who's come by your brewery, whether it's here or it's in Goleta, has their own story of how they discovered it. Here's mine. I was hiking in Morro Bay. This was a couple years ago, and it was one of those things where I finished the hike, and I was like, you know what? Let me grab some dinner. Let me grab something to eat after the hike. And you always want to reward yourself with a little brewski. It's like, no, what's the best way to finish that up? Went to, I don't remember the name of this place, but I'm not a big beer with dinner person. I'm having one or I'm having the other. And I was like, you know what? I'm hungry. Give me a burger. Give me a beer. Give me an IPA. The fella suggested the Greatland Special, which if you've been following me in my radio days, and I talked about this nonstop because I'm not the biggest beer guy, but when I had this sip of the IPA, the Greatland, it changed everything. I could have it with food. It was perfect, and it wasn't too filling. And I was like, you know what? This was right before the pandemic. And I was like, I need to make a trip to go stock up. I went to Goleta, bought like, I don't know how many cartons of this thing, stocked up, went back to Bakersfield, and I had it all in one day. No, I'm kidding.
I don't recommend that. That's kind of dangerous. 7.2%. That'll catch up to you.
It's fantastic. So let's start with that. That's my little backstory. Talk to me about you. You're the owner. How did you guys start this? Talk to me about how this all came about.
Yeah, so I kind of got into home brewing, like kind of to riff off of your story. I was like, at the time of my life, I was really active doing like mountain biking, split boarding. A lot of people don't know what that is. It's a snowboard that separates into a pro skis. You climb a mountain, put it back together, snowboard back down it. But I really like to end my hikes, my mountain bike rides, my mountain climbing journeys with a beer. I always had a cooler of beer in my car, and I kind of fell in love with a couple of beers that I couldn't find in the market here. And so I thought, well, what if I could make those beers? So I started making those beers at home, and one thing led to another. And back in 2013, a couple of my partners came to me. I was actually the last. There are 5 founders. I was the last founder brought into the group. And it's because they had all come together and realized like they had it all covered from the marketing, the branding, the beer distributing angle, but they didn't have anybody who made beer. And so they offered me a job, and I said, I'm not really looking for a job, but if you want to partner, I'm kind of interested. And so long story short, that's how we ended up here.
What were you doing at the time where you said, I'm not looking for a job? What did you have anything related to beer, or was that just like a hobby?
I mean, you wouldn't think it's related to beer, but I probably know a couple financial planners out there who would say it is. But yeah, I was a financial planner. For 20 years, I was a financial planner before I started the brewery.
What a switch. I would not usually, it's like, yeah, I was involved in some kind of maybe restaurant, maybe you worked at a brewery, but you went from financial planning to.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. It's pretty wild, but I'd done it for so long, and my daughter was kind of getting to an age where I was starting to think about the next chapter of my life and what that was going to look like, and took a risk, and here we are, 10 years later.
M Special. What does the M stand for? I was sitting here driving up to Santa Barbara, and I was like, I wonder what that M stands for. I was like, I wonder if there's a cool story behind that. Is there anything?
There is a cool story behind it. So, like, the M in M Special stands for Malloy, and Malloy is the last name of two of my partners. Two of my partners are brothers, and their last name is Malloy. And then another one of my partners is their first cousin. His mom was a Malloy, so he ended up getting the last name Miller. That's Chris Miller. The Malloy brothers and Chris Miller, they had a grandfather who was really into race cars. And they had a race car. The cars were called the special cars back then. I don't have a giant history on NASCAR and how it all developed, but it was an early iteration of NASCAR. And the Malloy Special car, there's pictures of it all over the wall inside. That car raced in the Indy 500 amongst a bunch of other really Daytona, well-known venues. Wow. And people just started shortening it to the M Special. And then we kind of decided, we were riffing on names for the brewery, and we decided we're all dads, we're all family men, and it's just kind of an homage to like family and community and things like that. So yeah.
I love it. Now, let me ask you about my favorite beer. Actually, let's talk about these individually. Which one of these is your favorite? We'll start with that.
Okay, well, I love all my babies just the same. I don't play favorites, but
there's always a favorite.
I'm going to talk about one of them first. I got to talk about this one, the M Special. This is our flagship beer. The brewery is named after this beer. The beer is named after the brewery.
And that's what I'm having, the Greatland. Which one are you having? Is that the one you're having right now?
I am having one that is not represented out here, the Platonic. But
okay.
So when we started the brewery, the concept was other craft breweries weren't doing a lager. Lager was the sole domain of big beer. So, but we kind of felt like there were already a lot of craft beer drinkers out there that liked really flavorful, hoppy, dark beers, like things like that. They were used to that. That's who was going to craft breweries in the day. But we realized, like, if we made a beer that was super approachable, we're really working class. That's our whole vibe here. Like, everybody just works hard. We work hard, we play hard, we have fun, we take care of each other. And that beer is basically like, that was our attempt to bring the flavor that everybody drank when they were growing up, even maybe before they were 21, which should never be done.
I like this guy.
This is the beer that everybody was raised on. And we realized if we could make a good one with local ingredients, make it locally, let the people know who made the beer, and show them that they can have a beer just like the one they're familiar with growing up, it might be a gateway to them enjoying all kinds of craft beer. And that's pretty much what's happened.
And so you are is it the brewmaster? Is that what they call him?
I'm the brewmaster.
You're the brewmaster. So you're in charge of the flavors and kind of, okay, once we sample this, if I like it, you get enough people. Is there like a committee, or what's that process like? If Josh likes it, everybody gets it, or is there like, does it have to go through everybody else?
I mean, it's not a democracy. It's a little bit of an authoritarian state, but
I love it.
I am responsible for virtually all of the recipes of all the beers that we make. Do want to shout out my head brewer, though, Michael Alcatar.
Hey, let's give him a shout out.
Incredible brewer. And we have one beer called El Mero Mero, and that's the big boss.
Come on, compa. He's talking to a Mexican right here. Mero Mero, compas.
And Michael is our Mero Mero. That's his nickname. So we make a Maxx lager called El Mero Mero, and that's all his. But as a brewmaster, I'm responsible for the operation of the brewery from grain to glass. So I have to procure the grain, I got to procure the hops, all of that stuff. the yeast, the fruit, whatever we're going to be using in terms of ingredients. Got to make sure that the facilities are kept up, and so it's my job to schedule it. Like scheduling a brewery is really difficult. Like each beer takes at least a month in the tank, so you can't just be like, I want to make this beer and then have it tomorrow. You have to think about where you can fit it in the production chain, because there's a demand for each and every beer, and then you've got to execute on that. So that's my job, is just to make sure it goes from point A to Z, and then ends up in our glass right here.
How do you feel about? Have you ever seen the little beer brew kits that they sell like at TJ Maxx or anything like that? Mm-hmm. Do you feel like that's just fake? That's just quit taking over my culture. I know what I'm doing, and that's a bunch of bullshit.
Well, I feel like I got two answers to that question. First of all, I'm not worried about them taking over my culture. I started as a home brewer. Virtually every professional brewer.
Were you using the TJ Maxx stuff?
No, I'm going to get into that. So I started as a home brewer, and virtually every professional brewer did. And there's this expression in home brewing and the expression is, you made beer. And what that means is when a home brewer brings you a beer and it's really not that great, you just look at them and you say, you made beer. You set out to make beer, you made beer. Congratulations. That's what you can do with the TJ Maxx kit. If you want to go, if you want to get serious about it, which invariably everyone who starts on that kit does get serious about it, and they move on and they learn how to do what's called all grain brewing, those kits give you an extract. So they take the grain, they get all of the sugars out of it, and they turn it into this thick syrupy stuff, and then you just melt that into a hot pot, and then that becomes like your base for your beer. But all grain brewing is taking the grain yourself, soaking it in a mash tun, and extracting the sugars and the fermentables from the grain itself into the liquid, and then you take that liquid and you move it over and you move it into your boil kettle. So it's a whole different deal, and it adds doing it that way, like from base grain, adds a lot of flavor and really the ability to control the outcome, to change the outcome of your beer.
I think it's incredible. I think the process of it is something that I can't even fathom. It's one of those things where it's like, even if I got that kit, I have no idea where to start. And am I putting in the water? Am I mixing in there's these things that look like sunflower seeds. I don't know what they are. I just see them in commercials. I seen them in that. What is that?
I think the things that look like sunflower seeds is actually grain. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
So, but it's the process is really kind of like it can be as difficult as you want it to be and as simple as you want it to be. And this is like why home brewing is a disease, by the way. Like, you think you're just going to start and make a couple of beers, and then all of a sudden you're like, well, I need 4 taps flowing in my house. So, but to simplify the process, you take grain, you soak it in hot water, extracting the sugars, you move it to a boil kettle, you add your hops, you cool it, you put it in a fermenter, you add yeast, and there's another expression in brewing: brewers don't make beer, yeast makes beer. So you add your yeast, the yeast start to eat the sugars, and then they excrete alcohol and CO2. So that's why if you look at any fermenter, you see a bunch of bubbles coming out. That's what the yeast is doing. But it's really that simple. You take grain, you turn it into sugary water, you boil that, and you add yeast.
So how does a brewmaster come about? I really do feel like, now that I know your background came in finance, it doesn't make any sense how you ended up here. I feel like the people that I've met who are brewmasters or work in breweries, they're like, it was my father's, it was then, and it was passed down, and it was just like they grew up in it.
Yeah.
Were you a guy who just like was passionate about beer, and then, or is it something that you were just like, you know what, there was an opportunity, this is what they needed, I'm good at figuring stuff out, and then you just figured it out? Or I don't know, like, you tell me what that process was like, because I think it's fascinating. Brewmasters is crazy.
Yeah, so it's brewmasters a little bit of like inside the industry with brewers. Sometimes brewmaster is a little bit of a controversial term, and some people think, like, one thing that everyone agrees on is the title is earned, not given. And I think to be a brewmaster, you have to be a very accomplished brewer, and you have to have control of your brewery. And so most brewmasters are actually owners as well. It's got to be somebody who's really, really invested in the outcome of the company. And yeah, that's pretty much it. You got to earn it. Like, you know, we had a contractor, but I essentially built the brewery, and I started thinking about the brewery from like, where is the grain going to come in the door? And then where is the beer going to leave? And I started setting my brewery up in my mind and designed the whole thing from scratch, and was there for the entire build out. And I was there yesterday fixing the boiler. So like that's what a brewmaster does, kind of the everything.
Right. No, that's funny that you bring that up, because the term brewmaster it reminds me, there's like a running joke that I have, like I MC events, I do weddings, and I do all kinds of events. And MC, I don't know, some people know, some people don't. They just think it's whatever. But it actually stands for Master of Ceremonies, which I've always thought is like the most awkward term. It's like, I am the master of today's ceremony. And I'm like, yo, that's a little like, let's chill out on that, you know? Yeah. I'm not a master of nothing. I'm just a guy on the mic who's telling you what's coming up next or whatever. So I relate to that when you're saying like, oh, it's a term that's maybe a little heavy, but it is something that you got to like earn when you're really in that.
Like, I'd say even with MC, there's like a gravitas to that. And there's like, yeah, you're up there trying to make sure everyone has a good time. But that's the most important thing. So you actually are in charge of that. There's a responsibility.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Heavy is the head that wears the crown, man. Like I don't know what to say, but that's what it is.
You won't get any argument from me. Let me ask you this: what would you say to people that say, I'm not a big beer person, I'm more of a liquor, I'm more of a beer? Because there's a lot of people like that, you know, like I'm not big on a beer. Or how, like, you know, when you're growing up and you're like, I don't know, like how beer tastes. How do you feel about those people, and what would you say to them before they tried any of yours? Because we don't have this in Bakersfield.
So I have a lot of practice at that question, because that happens all the time in the tap room.
I would imagine so.
And basically my stock answer to that is, I love hearing that. Because my favorite thing in the world is turning a non-beer drinker into a beer drinker. Yeah. And I've been pretty successful at it, I want to say. Like, that's the thing about beer is people who say I don't like beer, they're really saying, like, it's like saying you don't like gin. It means you don't like the gin you tried, because all gin are infused with different flavors. So beer is all different too. So people that say they don't like beer, I mean, they don't like that one beer that they tried. So as like, in my profession, I try to get in their head and be like, you know, what didn't you like about it? What did you like about it? And I feel like for our brewery and many others out there, there's something on the board for everybody. And I love turning non-beer drinkers into beer drinkers.
Yeah, it's like taking that little bit of pride when you meet a girl that you like finally, and she's like, I don't know if I'm really into that. And then you try something and she's like, oh my gosh, you brought that out of me. That wasn't in me. So I would assume that turning a non-beer drinker into a beer drinker has got to be kind of along the same lines there.
I mean, I can't really relate to your experience with girls, but yeah, I guess it is. I guess it's kind of like that.
It's absolutely a perfect analogy to compare it with. It's like, really turning into, like, I used to not like sports, and you're like, all right, well, speaking of sports, you know, I know you're wearing a Golden State Warrior. They got a big game tonight. We're going to be putting this out on Thursday, so we'll know the result of the game. But
and I know I'm in the company of a Laker fan, by the way.
Yeah, we talked about that extensively. We were having doubts about even doing this. We were like, well, I did. If I wish I would have known he was a Golden State Warriors fan, or else I would have saved myself the trip out to Santa Barbara. No, I'm kidding. I'm a big Steph Curry fan. So
we hit it because we beat you guys like a week and a half ago.
All right. So. You know what? Cut. We're done. You got Sam in the background. Sam's the one who, by the way, answered me on Instagram. I know you left me on scene for like 2 days, and I was really heartbroken, and that really hurt my feelings. But I'm glad that we're here now. You know. So, but big shout out to Sam, and also Sam. Tori, who's here. She's a GM here.
Tori's our GM. Yep. She's the queen of everything.
So let's say you make a beer and everybody likes it, and Tori says, I don't know how I feel about this one. Are you running it? Yes or no?
I say you don't have to drink it.
There's plenty of other options.
I got something for everybody, Tori.
Brings it back to the point. So let's talk about some of these. So you said you were okay. We talked about this one. This lager was a perfect, your favorite.
Yep.
What do we got here? Let's talk about these other ones.
Okay. I'll start. I'm going to talk about the Greatland next, because that's your jam.
This is the one. If it wasn't for this beer, I promise you we wouldn't be here today. So let's talk about that one.
So the Greatland, which, by the way, I mentioned this before we went on air, but I mentioned this to Vic. I love that I have so many people in my life who have a story about one of the beers. So the Greatland is also Tori's jam. That's pretty much how
Hey, girl.
I met her.
I
Because,
know I liked her. As soon as I walked in, I was like, you know what? That's a Greatland drinker.
So when I met Tori, she was taking lunch breaks at the brewery in Goleta. And I'm not going to say who she was working for at the time because that's not relevant. But she was taking lunch breaks at the brewery in Goleta. And I was like, a lot of times, like, you don't really see that. Like, a woman, like, show up during the day for lunch and have a beer and then head back to work. And I'm like, and then I start paying attention to what beer. And she's drinking the Greatland. And I'm like, I don't really see that. Like, someone who, like, likes that one beer so much that they that's what they drink. And,
On their lunch break, yeah.
and that's when I knew I liked Tori, because IPA on a lunch break, that's what it's we call it lunch beer.
No, can I add to that? Because normally IPAs have this, whether it's accurate or not, for some, it is. I've tried IPAs that are really thick and really heavy. This is almost like it feels like it's an IPA, but it feels really light, really crispy, really fresh. And that's what really changed everything for me when I tried it. I was like, Josh, this may be the greatest beer I've ever had in my life.
I mean,
Take it.
I'm trying.
Don't even argue with me. Just take it. Just like the MC thing.
Trying
Don't
not to
argue with
blush.
me.
All right. No, actually, one of the things I liked that you said was, like, they seem so big and so heavy. Like, this beer is sneaky. Okay, I stole this from another brewer, but Jamil Zanishev, hats off. Every brewer out there's secret goal is to get you drunk without you realizing it.
You nailed it. Yes.
Because like, this thing is 7.2% alcohol by volume.
Hey, you hear that, fellas and ladies? Yeah, it'll do some damage.
And
you know?
your description was like light and easy to drink, and that is kind of the goal. Our whole thing is making approachable beers, like beers that everybody can enjoy, that are easy to drink. I call them gulpers, not sippers. You know, we got a couple sippers. The double IPA, the Lazy Eye, that's a sipper for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that one. Yeah. I've had that one too.
8.5%. Yeah, that one doesn't sneak up on you. It hits you over the head with a baseball bat.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Absolutely. I've had this one about halfway through. I'm feeling good, ladies and gentlemen. So I mean, I haven't had anything to eat, but this is like, you don't taste it. You're sipping it. You're not feeling full. You're not feeling overwhelmed. But you got that good little feeling going on. So whatever it is that you're trying to do with, let it sneak up on you, let it taste good, let it be refreshing. You guys nailed it with that.
Yeah, yeah.
And actually, I did have one more question.
Sure.
The name is a little different. I'm not sure where did that come from. The Greatland Special. That doesn't really roll off the tongue as like a beer name. So I was really curious as to where the name came from.
So, when we first started the brewery, before we even opened. The brewery itself is actually in Goleta, which is like 7 miles up the freeway.
That's where I stocked up for 7 years worth of beer. Yeah.
And Goleta was known as the Good Land. The Goleta Valley is known as the Good Land. Oh, okay. Like, historically, I don't even know how it got that title, but historically it's been known as the Good Land. And so we were like the first production brewery to open up in Goleta. And I want to say in Santa Barbara in general. I hope none of my colleagues...
We'll roll with it. Yeah. If roll with it.
People are allowed to correct me later. But we figured, like, we wanted to, like, pay a little respect to the place where we were, and we thought that the Greatland Special was, like, a good name for a beer that was being made in the Goleta Valley. And then about a week before we opened, I mean, we had hats printed, signs made, tap handles, everything. About a week before we opened, I got a call from another local brewery. And they said, hey, we already have a beer called the Greatland. I'm not going to say what the beer's name was. It was the Greatland something. And he's like, you can't use that name, man. Like, we already have, like, intellectual property. You can't use that name.
And you guys had already had made merch and everything?
Everything, yeah. I had a couple pro surfers leave Micronesia wearing hats. Like, it was like, it was out there. And so we had to pivot really, really quick in like a week before we opened, because they did own the intellectual property. And so I kind of decided to do a little one-upsmanship. I was like, well, if yours is the Good Land, then mine's the Greatland. And that's how we did it.
I cannot even imagine a better story than that. I'm so happy that I asked that question, because...
I am too. That was a good one, yeah.
Yeah, because the Greatland, and then you just one up the Goodland, or is it Goodland? What was Goodland? All right, so let's talk about these other ones. What else? What else we got here?
Okay, so the G-Town Special is also another tribute to Goleta. There's a lot of Goleta references in here, actually. The G-Town Special is that's the one where we realized we had something with the Greatland, but we realized at the time grapefruit sculpin from Ballast Point was everywhere, and now I don't see that beer really anywhere. I'm not really sure what happened with that brand, but it was everywhere, and we decided we wanted to make at least one, but maybe two beers that had like some fruit added to them. And so I basically got together with a farmer and tried some grapefruit in the Greatland. And the G-Town, little secret, it's just this beer with grapefruit in it. And that beer is really, really good. It's real grapefruit. We've got Sam over here, and that is her beer. She's got a beer story too. And Sam will tell you she doesn't even like grapefruit, but she loves the G-Town.
Which is true. When she brought that up, I was like, you know what? I'm not crazy about grapefruit either, but I tried this one. I loved it. I prefer this one, but this one's really, really good too. And it's no shocker that you said that this is the same beer, except this one's got grapefruit in it. But when you say it's like the same beer, but with it, like in my head, here's how dumb I think. I think you just took this beer and grabbed and squeezed a grapefruit in it. Is as simple as that, or is it like there's like a whole different process with it?
Well, so when we brew the beer, the whole thing, like you soak the grain and then you boil it with hops. At that point, it is the same beer. We call that wort, by the way, W-O-R-T. So the real expression is brewers don't make beer, brewers make wort, yeast makes beer. So we make the wort all together, but then we separate it apart. And then they ferment. Sometimes they ferment together. Usually they ferment together, but sometimes they ferment apart. And then at the very end of the process, we have to split the beer off into two different tanks. And we do add the grapefruit. We're not squeezing it in like you described, but we do add the grapefruit at that point. And then there's like a couple other technical things we go through in carbonation process and everything.
Secret process, yeah.
It's not really that secret if you're a brewer, but it's not that interesting if you're not. So. And then they get once they hit the last leg of their life, they get completely separated and packaged differently, and the whole bit.
All right, so talk to me about this tangerine here. So we got grapefruit, we got the lager, and we got the tangerine here along with the Greatland. Talk to me about this tangerine one here?
Okay, so the Sabato Tarde Special is that one is basically. We wanted a light, easy drinking beer that had a little bit of a fruit flavor to it. It's definitely not a tangerine bomb. I try to make I think subtlety is really important in beer. So even if you're adding fruit, you don't want to bomb people. You don't want to mow them over with it. So that beer is supposed to be an incredibly easy drinking. I talked to you about sippers and gulpers.
Yeah.
So that one is supposed to be a gulper. It's only 4.7%, same as the lager. That's like a beach beer. It's crushable, and it's got a little bit of tangerine essence to it, but it's just a really light, fruity beach beer. And Sabato Tarde, I want to tell that story. So I went to UCSB. So did one of my partners, UC Santa Barbara. Go Gauchos! There's this really famous street in Isla Vista. For anybody who's in California and is familiar with the college scene at all, there's also a party that happens all the time it happens every year that frequently makes national news, called Deltopia. And the reason it's called Deltopia is because the most known street in Isla Vista is Del Playa, which is right on the beach, surprisingly. Yeah.
Everywhere, yeah.
It's literally the houses on Oceanside Del Playa. They have balconies that overlook the ocean. And Del Playa is really famous because it's really beautiful and it's teeming with energy and it's the party street. It's everything. But we felt like we wanted to pay tribute to UC Santa Barbara and our Gaucho roots, but we didn't want to go quite that basic. So the real deal is hardly anybody who went to UCSB or a good chunk of the people that went to UCSB never lived on Del Playa. But a lot more of them did live on Sabado Tarde, which was 1 block off the beach. So Sabado Tarde is like the working class version of Del Playa. And so we kind of did a little tribute to UCSB and Isla Vista without going like quite low hanging fruit.
And I love the definition of Sábado Tarde. That means late Saturday, right?
Yep.
I'm sure you're
Yep.
aware of that. But
Yep.
I thought, and I think it fits perfectly because it's like, oh, late Saturday. You kind of wrapping up your Saturday with this light beer,
Yeah.
and it's perfect
Yeah.
to be taking it. So I love how you're describing all these beers, and it comes back to everything you said. It's like you want your light stuff. You got your lager. You got your 2 IPAs with the grapefruit and everything, and it just goes back to there is something for everybody.
Yeah.
And you guys really do create this environment where everybody's welcome. And even if you don't consider yourself, like myself, I'm not a big beer guy. I just happen to fall in love with the Greatland Special. And again, just goes back to this is why we're here today. But I want to pivot to this because now that we got the beers out of the way, and by the way, the lazy IPA could be a whole different conversation in itself. But I want to.
Can I interject real quick, Vic? This is like 420
I'm
that
kidding.
we have on tap in our tap room. So I'm here for shameless marketing. And so I wanted to say that too.
Say that again. I didn't hear.
This is just 4 of 20 beers that we have on tap in the tap room.
20.
We make all different kinds of beers and styles. And I really pride myself on being able to make all different kinds of beers and styles. So we just happen to have cans for these guys. So that's why we're talking about these. But these are our core beers, kind of the foundation.
When I see the T-shirts and the stickers, I see these are like the 4 main ones that I see right there too.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
glad we were able to bring those out. Let me talk to you about, are you familiar with IPA brewery culture memes? Have you seen those where it's like, the IPA guys are like a little bit snobby or whatever? How do you feel about those? And if you are familiar with them, if you've seen them, how do you feel about those?
I mean, I've seen them.
They're like, let me describe one to you. It's like
Okay.
guy drinking a Miller Lite versus a guy drinking a Greatland Special, and he's like, "You're drinking the Miller Lite? Not me, sweetheart. I'm drinking the Greatland." And it's got like the funny memes they take off, but
Yeah, they got like their pinky out.
yeah, exactly. There
Yeah.
you go. You
Yeah.
nailed it exactly.
Yeah, I got you.
Is there some truth to that? Let's be real. Where they got the apron on and all
Yeah.
that whole thing. $27 hamburgers.
Yeah, there's some truth to that. There's definitely some truth to that.
I was hoping that you would
That's why
say.
the meme started. I do think like that's kind of a little played at this point, but that was the thing. That's kind of why we went with the lager, because everybody was like, try our IPA. And I'm not gonna lie and say I'm not an IPA guy, but also like I have said this my whole brewing life. It's just beer. Like, we're not saving babies. We're not saving lives.
If anything, you're creating babies. I mean, you drink enough of these things, you know what I'm saying? Hey.
You've got to be careful there. But yeah, like everyone, we kind of came around at a time where beer snobs was a thing. I feel like beer snobs aren't a thing anymore. I don't know why I feel that way, but like,
It was a meme culture that kind of came, swept, and then it went
Yeah.
away. I'm sure the beer snobs are still there, but the memes are gone away. But
yeah, they're just not as obvious.
Yeah,
they're like
it's not
hiding it now because they've seen all the memes.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but yeah, so like that is a true thing. Like we made this beer right here because, and I'm pointing to the lager for those of us who are listening. We made that beer because like we wanted a beer for the non-beer snobs to drink, so they could see that they could go buy beer from somebody near them who made it, who they know, and it's good food. It's just like going to the baker nearest you that makes the best bread, or going to the butcher that has the best meat. Like that's what we wanted to be. And so the lager, I call it a gateway beer.
I love that.
Yeah, it's your gateway to IPA snobbery. Just so you know.
I really feel like, yes, you want to become a snob, take a little bit of this one, a little bit. No. I really do feel like the IPA could be a gateway also because it's so accessible. You know,
Yeah.
I come from a background in country radio. In country radio, my mic cut off. In country radio, so people, when I told them like I was like country, they're like ding 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 ding, and I'm like, they're like, I'm not into that, and I was like, no, you got to understand. there is different levels. Like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with like Nico Moon or something like that. It's got like a hip hop beat, but it's got the lyrics, it's got the storytelling, and it's really like a gateway drug. So it's like, I totally relate when you say like, hey, if you try a little bit of this one's easy on you, but it's still considered like an IPA or a strong beer, whatever you want to call it, but it's a gateway. I love, because I fully understand the reference. It's like, I'm not into that. And it's like, well, try this one. This one is very accessible, very easy. And then it can get you into, you're like, well, let's find out a little more about this country music or these IPA beers. So I totally relate and love everything you're doing with these. Is the Goleta, and you're in charge of Goleta and here as well?
Yeah, I mean, I've just kind of, I pretty much run the day-to-day operations. So yeah, and I'm in both places every day. Goleta is where we make it, but we also have a tap room in Goleta, which I think is the first one you went to.
Yeah, I sure did.
So, and that's our flagship, our first tap room. It was kind of magic from the outset. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, but we really like hit the spot opening that place up, you know, warehouse style tap room in a place that didn't have one of those. And so yeah, I encourage everybody to like go check that one out. But yeah, I work at both places every day.
That one's really cool too, because we finished. Are you a golfer?
I have golfed and I have great etiquette.
Yeah, great etiquette.
So don't ask me about my game. Don't ask me about my game.
I'm very respectful of the rules of golf.
Yeah, I'm not gonna step in your line.
Yeah, there you go. We played Sandpiper, which is a just gorgeous course here.
Amazing.
And it's so good. So we played Sandpiper, and we have like a little traveling golf group with me and my buddies. I just won the last 2 tournaments, by the way, so just wanted to let y'all know. But we finished playing Sandpiper, and I was like, you know what? There's a really good brewery here, and I made all of the boys go down to Goleta, so we got messed up. We watched the 3-point contest. It was during All-Star Weekend there, so there's
awesome.
a story for everything. It's good vibes, good beer, All-Star 3-point All-Star contest. So every memory that I have with you guys' brewery is like attached to something like positive, and I love that about it. It feels good, which I think is the vibe that you guys are going for. I'm looking out here, and you got the brick wall. We got the brick wall out here, which is just. It sets the vibe.
This is not fake. This is a
no, it's
real
not. That's
brick
why
wall.
I slapped it. I was like, yeah, you want to make sure there's no BBL here. This is real stuff here. You know what I'm saying? And then we got the string light. I know you can't see it on the camera, but you got the string lights here.
But we could look up at it.
Yeah, we could look up at it, and I'm sure you guys turn those on every night.
I mean, yeah, if you want.
Yeah, I wish it was darker. We could turn them on right now. That would set the mood.
Yeah.
And after the beer that I've had, you might start looking kind of. Are you married, by the way? I don't see a ring,
no. Baby, I love you. My wife does taxes. Today's April 15th. She's everything. She's my favorite. I love her. I'm very happily married for 20.
Maybe next time.
Off the top of my head.
Have another one. We'll see if you're still married.
We're about to have our 24th wedding anniversary. But also, yeah, you're not getting it. Yeah. Sorry.
I should have worked out a little more. I should have done a couple
pretty
push-ups
good
before.
looking. You're pretty good looking, but not quite.
But not good enough for you. All right. Well, hey, different folks. There's different tastes for everybody, just like your beer.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not your taste. I want to talk about the hat that you're wearing.
This is where I'm not your taste.
I had it. Well, you know what? After a couple of these, I'm like, you know what? Maybe I'm a Golden State fan. You know,
see the magic of beer. The magic of beer.
The Lakers, schmakers, whatever. No, I'm kidding. Let's make your prediction. This is going out Thursday, so we'll already know what happened because this is the game's tonight.
Yeah.
But make a prediction right now. Strong prediction. What do you think? Do they beat the Grizzlies?
Of the game tonight?
Yep, the game tonight. I might stick around and watch it here. I don't know.
Of course they're going to beat the Grizzlies. Of course.
I love it.
They just beat the Grizzlies. We just beat them again. Sorry.
We'll just do it again.
We shouldn't be in the play-in, by the way.
You shouldn't. You should have won that game against the Clippers, and you would have saved yourself a lot of trouble.
It was a little rough down the road. We were playing real good basketball, and then all our guys got real tired. And yeah, so now we're in the play-in game, but let's just win this one, Dubs, so we can just move on. And then, I'm going to be honest, I loved that game like a week and a half ago between the Lakers and the Warriors. That was a classic, man.
LeBron versus Steph, they put on a show. It lived up to the bill.
I love that. I mean, you got LeBron, there were 5 future Hall of Famers playing in that game. And it was amazing. Everybody who watched it, when you saw LeBron go around and hug everybody on the Warriors after that, you knew even he felt privileged to be part of that game. So I'm gonna say this out of respect for you guys. I'm glad we're not gonna meet in the first round.
Exactly.
Because we need like a Lakers-Warriors final. Like that's what we need.
Injected into my veins.
It's what basketball needs.
Absolutely. Could not agree more with that.
Yeah.
So let's talk about, one thing that I'm surprised about is that you guys are big into your sports around here. We talked to, Sam's also a Golden State fan. She's just going for, she's like the Go Sports girl. She's like, yeah, they scored a touchdown.
Yeah.
It's like, sweetheart, it's a basketball game.
When we talk
But that's
about
all right.
hockey, Tori calls the puck a flat ball. That's what she says.
Throw me the flat ball. It's but you guys create a fantastic vibe. I already know it would look incredible out here. We'll post some stuff if I come back and watch a game, which I probably will. But I want to talk about your outdoor patio. This is your location on State Street in Santa Barbara.
Yeah.
Again, you have two locations. You have the Goleta one, but you guys are starting to do outdoor venues and just all kinds of stuff out here too. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, this outdoor patio is actually, I believe this is still true. I believe we're the largest properly licensed and titled patio in downtown Santa Barbara. It's 4,000 square feet of patio space. We've got a bar that sits right in the middle of it, a four-sided bar. It sits right in the middle of it. And it's really, outdoor beer drinking is like a lot of what we're about, Like we're about like sunshine, good people, good fresh air, and good beer.
Dogs, everybody bring their
We're
dog out
dog
here.
friendly, well-behaved dogs only, please. And yeah, but we're really about our outdoor spaces, and this patio is a magic one. It's kind of a historical one in Santa Barbara. Everyone in Santa Barbara who grew up here or spent any time here has some sort of memory on this patio. And I think I'm allowed to say this at this point. I hosted the American Idol judges on this patio like about a year ago.
Really?
Before they did their Santa Barbara episode.
I did not have that on my notes here. That is fantastic.
I don't think he'd mind me saying it, but speaking of country music, LUKE BRYAN really loves the dozer. Also, he's a home brewer apparently and really good at it. So, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah,
Man
so
of many talents.
There's some history here. It's a great place to come here. You can watch a game outdoors. We got TVs out here. You could just come here at night in the summertime when the weather's good and just party with your friends. It's really relaxed and easygoing, but it's really also beautiful. And we do a lot of event hosting or private event hosting. Weddings, a big thing lately has been people doing their rehearsal dinners here. So there's also a restaurant associated with our tap room down here at the downtown location. And they do all the catering, then we do all the beer and wine. But you can rent this whole place out. You can rent half of it out, or you can just come here and hang out and drink beer out here. It's pretty awesome.
I feel like we just kind of glossed over the fact that LUKE BRYAN was here less than a year ago.
Yeah, that was a little flex on my part.
Yeah, that was.
I have a picture, but I didn't have it ready. So,
So let's talk about that real quick. Did you just have them out here trying food, trying beers? What was that?
So no, what they needed was they were gonna shoot some stuff down here. It was Katy Perry is from Santa Barbara. And
She was just in space. Wasn't it like yesterday or 2 days ago? Yeah, it was wild.
I mean, come to our tap room, and you too could go to space. That's the lesson.
We'll elevate you to
the
space.
last-
Well, this
am-
podcast better go crazy.
Am I going to get a cease and desist from Katie? No, like I got a call from a friend who works at the city, and he knew that the production crew for American Idol was going to shoot an episode down here in downtown Santa Barbara, and that was the episode for Katie basically, and he was like, but they need a place where they can like stage things, do makeup, like all that stuff. So we were like, essentially kind of like, I'm gonna say the green room for the judges. For one of their multiple stops in Santa Barbara for that day. So if you find that episode, there is an M Special logo in that episode. It's real quick, but it's unmistakable. You'll see it. All the judges walk out the back gate, and when the gate closes, the M Special logo is right there. So
what a neat little story. That's very cool. I also understand that you guys are doing live music every weekend. You guys are doing stand-up comedy nights, trivia nights, all kinds of stuff. You guys got everything going on here.
Yeah. So we have trivia every week on Wednesdays. And every second Tuesday of the month, we have comedy, and it's improv comedy. And what's cool about it is they come in and they let all of the audience pick the topics. And then all of the different comedians got to go up and do a 3 or 4 minute bit just based on the topic that random audience member like chose. So it's really what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. It's off the cuff. It's fun.
Spontaneous.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
funny.
fun. It's vibrant. They are funny. They're funny.
Yeah. I asked Sam, actually, I was like, I do a little bit of stand-up comedy myself, so if you guys got room for one more, I mean, hey, I do stand-up comedy. I'm not funny. I'm just saying, like, I do it. It's kind of like, if someone
That
says,
makes
like,
you
I can
like most
sing.
comedians do.
Relatable AF,
Okay, wait, real quick. We did basketball. Mitch Hedberg, what's your take?
Mitch Hedberg, I don't know who that is.
Oh.
I probably do once you describe who it is, but by name.
I'm just gonna send you a playlist, and you're welcome in advance.
What Mitch Hedberg is?
He's my favorite comedian who's ever lived. He's passed away. R.I.P. Mitch,
Okay, so actually, let's talk about that, because I love people who are passionate. So if you love stand-up comedy, Mitch Hedberg, unfamiliar. I'll have to look him up. Who else?
Hedberg.
Hedberg. Yeah. Who is another name that maybe someone who's still active right now?
Well, like Stephen Wright, like, is he active right now? See, I'm old school.
Who are these guys?
These are old school comedians. Mitch is no longer with us. But I like old school comedians.
What about like Dave Chappelle?
Well, I mean, obviously he's outstanding.
To me-
But I'm a lot older than you. I know you guys can't tell if you're watching the video because
I still think we look good
because
together.
of how
but,
young
whatever.
I look. But yeah, like I like Eddie Murphy Delirious. I had that on cassette. So I grew up with old school comedians. Those are the guys. I haven't really stayed up on comedy. I listen to all the ones that come here, but I don't know modern comedians that well, do I? Maybe I do.
There's some good ones out there. There's some guys making noise. You got, obviously, Dave Chappelle's making a comeback, but you got guys like Tom Segura. You got a little bit older guy like Brian Regan. Are you familiar with his work? He's
I don't
hilarious,
think so. Maybe,
and he's clean comedy too.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know. And now, so many get canceled. I'm afraid to say. Louis Black, is he canceled? I don't know.
Louis C.K.
Louis C.K. is. I don't know. Is he? Never mind. I don't want to talk about that. But yeah, I know Louis C.K. Hey, I know Louis C.K. I know who he is.
I've heard that he was canceled. I'll be totally transparent with you. I have no idea what he did. I don't know.
Louis Black, though. Also, you guys should look him up. Sarah
Was he
Silverman.
canceled also?
Sarah Silverman.
Oh,
love
yeah,
her.
she's got a mouth on her.
I fucking love her.
Sweetie.
She's awesome. I know. You hear me swear right there? I think it's because I said Sarah Silverman, so I had to swear. I couldn't control myself.
Her name is a bad word. It's like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah, that girl. Yeah.
What did you say? I said Sarah Silverman. Around these kids?
Watch your mouth.
No, that's awesome, man. Well, you guys got a lot of great stuff going on. You guys, I just want to thank you again for allowing us to be out here. Again, you are our first podcast that we've done outside of Bakersfield. We've hit some local restaurants in town. We've come up with some local businesses, whether they're restaurants or anything. First brewery, first out of town, and first outdoor podcast that we do. So you guys are my first.
Hell yeah.
You took a lot of my virginities. There's 3 of them right there off the top of my head,
Yeah, I mean, you're going to go outside the 805 next? Got to be really
Hey.
open-minded if you're going to do that.
Well, you know what? Right now, I'm in the process I'm in a place in my podcast career that I'm going to places that I love. And that's why I reached out to you guys on Instagram. It's crazy because I mean I've shot some DMs in the past, and they just leave it on scene, or sometimes they don't even read it. But the fact that Sam was active enough on there to be like, hey, and I love the fact that I love this product. If I didn't love it, I wouldn't have even reached out. It wouldn't even been a thought. But like I said, before COVID, I went down to Goleta. I got beanies. I might have the beanie she's wearing right there. I got beanies. I had beer. I had shirts. I had got 2 shirts. And so I really, truly, I love what you guys do. I love the vibe that you guys set. I love that you love sports. So I thought it was a perfect fit. I was like, I'm excited to do this. So thank you for having us.
Thank you for coming, man. And honestly, your story your connection to us. The fact that you found us and then reached out to us, and I'm going to tell you, Sam did the same thing. She watched your podcast to make sure that like she wanted us to be involved with that. So it's we're happy that you're here. I'm stoked to be the first time you've been outdoors, the first time you've been out in Santa Barbara.
Oh, we could add more to that first list if you want. You know.
No, I know you've been trying that for a
sorry.
little bit, but
You know,
I'm still like
I'm persistent if nothing else.
I'm resolute. You know, I can't blame you for trying to shoot your shot, man.
We'll see about that answer in 10 minutes. No, the other thing that I wanted to bring up is, so, you know, you guys have a lot of great merch. I brought you a gift. We have some new merch that just dropped, and I wanted you to be the first one to have our shirt, or I'm sorry, our hat. Will you accept that gift as a token of my gratitude?
All right. I want everybody to know he just wants me to take off the Warriors hat. But yeah, I would love that, dude. I'd love that.
In fact, we have some I love you say it back underwear too. So go ahead, you know.
All right, I'll just take the hat. Just the hat's good. I'm good with that.
Let me grab it for you. Hold
All
on.
right,
Stay till
All right.
right.
I'll kick it. Do you want me to tell any jokes while I'm here?
Please.
You want to hear a potassium joke?
Go for it. I'm ready.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, that was short, quick, smart, and not very funny. But, you know, hey, it's a joke. It's like, hey, you made beer.
It can't be a dad joke if
You
it's
made
funny.
a joke.
Okay, I got another one for you. What's the difference between a good joke and a bad joke? Timing.
We'll work on that.
Everyone's rolling their eyes. That's how I know I hit the spot.
Does he get a set
Dad
on
joke.
here? Does he get a couple minutes
No,
on here?
they hate it when I do this. They hate it. Not Sam.
Well,
though.
now-
Sam actually loves it. She's the one that encourages me to do it. Thank you, Sam.
Sam is just a Warriors fan who's just encourages anything you'll probably do at this
She's
point.
not just anything. Sam is an everything. Let's just be clear about that.
Instagram responder extraordinaire is what. Add that to your title. But look, check it out. This
All
is
right.
the I love you say it back hat. We just got it. It's the green and tan, and they're not even out for sale yet. And look at him. Look at him. Oh my God! I thought he couldn't get any more handsome. Look at that.
I love you too.
Yes. Now he's got it. You know, by the end of this thing, everybody gets it, right? All right. Is there anything else you wanted to touch on? Anything else you wanted to let the people know about before we wrap this up?
I'm sure I'm going to hear about all the stuff I forgot to mention in a few minutes, but I think I'm good for now. Thanks.
All right.
Stoked to be here, man. Thank you.
No, it was an absolute pleasure for me. I love that we brought out all the beers. We had a couple beers ourselves. And thank you for tuning in. If you're ever in the Santa Barbara area, one more question now that I'm thinking about it. What does it take to get this beer in Bakersfield?
I mean, did you drive here?
I did.
Just know this guy.
No, I mean, like, I want to have it on tap, like at a place.
So you gotta ask, like, pick your place and tell them what you want. And we don't have a distributor out there, but we're not that far away, as you know. But that doesn't mean that they can't come get beer from us and put it on tap retail in Bakersfield. So for now, that's the best bet until we get a distributor out there, and then we'll be in like more places out there. But that's the best way to do it.
I'm gonna have some conversations with some people.
Also, we've got some mutual friends that make that drive. So
yeah, we do.
Yeah.
So we'll have to. I got a truck. I'll load this thing up and keep us supplied for 2 months if I have to. You know.
I'll sell you the beer. I'm down.
I'm sure we will. No, thank you guys for having us out here. Thank you for tuning in and listening. I love this episode. This was fantastic, and it was an absolute pleasure. Again, our first outdoor, our first out of town, and our first. There was one more in there.
Freezing.
First out of 10. No, freezing. This is lovely for us. But thank you guys for tuning in. I love you. Say it back. It's a podcast live from M Special in downtown Santa Barbara. If you're ever in the area, please stop by. Have one of their crispy beers. He said it. There's something for everybody. I love you. Say it back. Y'all have a great night. Sleep good. Que sueñen los angelitos. I love you. And I mean you.